10 teams, 46 days, and 48 matches. That's the agenda of the Cricket World Cup 2023 that begins in Ahmedabad. The stakes are high for India not just on the field, but also outside, as it is being touted as the biggest, the fattest, the costliest World Cup ever. We will seek to understand what are the stakes for India, not just on the field, but outside the field, in terms of the economic impact of this Cricket World Cup. We will also draw parallels with the Football World Cup and figure out which one is the bigger entity. Right? So let's get into it. My name is Bhuvan Jha, and in this video, before I take you forward, with the World Cup beginning today, let's look at the comparative analysis of the Cricket World Cups, previous editions, versus the FIFA World Cup, the Football World Cup. Right? So when you look at it, in terms of revenue generated, expenses, TV audience, or even nations that vie for qualification for participation in the tournament, the FIFA World Cup is ahead by leaps and bounds. In terms of the revenue generated, the FIFA World Cup 2014 saw a revenue generated of 4,826 million US dollars as compared to the mere approximately 43 million US dollars at the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015. In terms of the expenses again, you see that the FIFA World Cup is leagues ahead. Same in terms of the TV audience, almost double of that of the Cricket World Cup. And well, where does that problem arise from? Even though you call it a Cricket World Cup, it is essentially a group of select nations, 10-12 nations that are vying for the crown, as opposed to the number of nations that go ahead into qualification for the Football World Cup. So therein, the Cricket World Cup loses out. The trend continues with the prize monies, right? You have the winner of the FIFA World Cup in 2014 take home 35 million US dollars as compared to the mere 4 million US dollars taken by the winner of the ICC Cricket World Cup in 2015. Same as that of the ticket prices. 27 US dollars for the Cricket World Cup tickets in 2019, whereas more than 100 US dollars for the FIFA World Cup of 2018. Right? The average attendance in the stadiums, well, no comparison there too. And in terms of, well, this is our interest now. The foreign visitors, because let's not forget that associated with these sorts of events is the influx a country expects of the tourists that come along with this tournament, right? And this becomes of relevance to India, particularly after the post-pandemic slowdown. Now, if you look at the chronology of this particular event, you have now the Dashara that will be approaching, thereafter Diwali. So people do have saved money, and that means that gets translated into more consumer spending, right? So let's look into the facts of the matter insofar as how the Cricket World Cup spurs the economy, specifically the hospitality sector. So we are looking at not just, say, hotels, but also travels. We are not just, say, looking at the ancillary industries that spring up wherever you find large number of tourists come, right? So the hospitality sector, well, obviously, will be getting a huge boost after the pandemic slowdown, specifically if you go ahead and consider the timing with the Cricket World Cup 2023 being followed by Dussehra and thereafter Diwali. Right? The timing is critical, and independent analysts have said, well, that this World Cup induced spending, you're looking at close to 18,000 to 22,000 crores in hard currency that is expected to be transacted during this period. In terms of the gross value added to the economy, again, a figure of around 7,000 to 8,000 crores is being expected, right? So you do realize that it will have a knock-off effect on a host number of different subsectors. So let's look at them one by one now. The hotel industry for once. For example, the India versus Pakistan match in Ahmedabad on October the 14th. Well, premier hotels have got their, well, the rooms are already sold out, and the premium rooms went at close to 1.1 lakh per night. Now, if you were to go ahead and book the same rooms in the off-season, well, obviously, economics dictate that the price will be low and the price gap is huge, to the extent that in the off-season, you're looking at getting these rooms for 7,500 only, right? You are expecting these particular cities where the matches are going to be held, so Lucknow, Dharamshala, right? All of these small cities, the tier 2 ones, are seeing 100% occupancy in their hotel occupancy rates, right? So this means this has obviously come because of huge demand. People are traveling. people are attending games, going from place A to place B, which means it's not just the premium hotels, but the mid-range hotels, as well as your homestays, your private lodges, all of that benefit out of the Cricket World Cup, right? In terms of the airline industry, which was again in the doldrums pre-pandemic and was considered to be almost the death knell having been sounded during the pandemic period. Well, you have seen a resurgence that has come up primarily because of the pandemic-induced boredom, and now with these big-ticket events coming up. So recently, you had the New Delhi hosted the G20 meeting, the G20 summit. Yes. Thereafter, you have the Cricket World Cup. So you are seeing that because of these particular events coming one after the other, coupled with the fact that people are much more likely to travel now, given that relaxations are already in place, life has returned to normalcy. Airline industry is seeing a huge uptick in terms of their profit margins. Okay. So almost 3 to 4 times the normal fare before match days as expected. Okay. If you're traveling to Ahmedabad before October the 15th, you'd be advised to look for other travel means because the ticket prices are through the roof. Okay. Increased load due to high demand, industry sees an uptick coupled with post-pandemic surge in travel. So therein, my airline industry is benefiting. If you look at the TV sales now, yes. So what was observed in the last World Cup, during the last World Cup, so you had these major players, Samsung, Sony, LG, and the rest of the brands that are in this particular segment. They almost reported close to 100% jump in sales. Yes, you had individual companies that went ahead and had their own offers. Now, what was observed was that during the FIFA World Cup, these same companies had come up with the same kind of offers, but the response from the consumer segment wasn't very satisfactory. Yes, people were not willing to go ahead and spend money before the Football World Cup. However, the story before a Cricket World Cup is entirely different, as what is being observed is that the consumers are showing a jump towards larger TV screens, specifically larger than 75 inches. Yes, and thus you will realize that this entire lineup that has been thought of, you have World Cup and then the major festivals that are following, which means that there will be a significant uptick in the consumer spending, which has been again touted as an addition of up to 10 basis points to the economy, right? Let's look at tourism. World Cup, the fulcrum around which foreign tourists will be planning their entire India trip. Yes, the Barmy Army, the representative fans of the defending champions England are expected to arrive in hordes and have arrived in hordes, right? So you are going to see a lot of foreign tourists who are going to come to India, and once again, that's going to add to these various subsectors as well as the general economy in an overall scenario, right? So my question to you before I finish this short presentation is, do the costs outweigh the benefits? So I have laid out the benefits before you, which are quite obvious, but the costs now. So for example, one example that comes to my mind is that of increased expenditure on security, because again, these sorts of events require a high level of security, right? You're also going to look at those, say, normal expected tourists that would have come in an non-World Cup year. They would probably not be coming because of the high ticket prices, because of the high hotel prices. And so would that have an effect on the economy? So you play the devil's advocate and let me know in the comment box around, say, 3 to 4 costs or justifications that outweigh the benefits that I've laid out before you. I've given you 2. Let me know another 2 or 3 in the comment box. But before I let you go, here is this discussion, and let's carry forward this discussion now. So should countries host global sports events? What's in it for them? After all, you recently had a particular city in Australia that backed out of hosting the Commonwealth Games. Yes. In the past, you have had, say, a Montreal Olympics that saw Canada took a lot of money. They take a lot of money before the Montreal Olympics, and it takes them almost 3 decades to go ahead and repay that particular money. Yes, they are in debt almost for close to 3 decades, right? In fact, even the Athens Olympics, that was in Greece. Yes, you had the Greece economy that went into a free fall post the Athens Olympics. Obviously, there are different interpretations in terms of what the funding, the spending on the games meant for this particular free fall of the Greek economy. But then it's a pertinent question to ask, right? So should countries go ahead and host multi-sports events, or is the way forward for, say, having many number of hosts, co-hosts, so as to make sure that you're splitting the costs and making sure that you're reaping the dividends, the benefits, right? That is one question, that is one angle that a student of civil service may well be advised to think on, right? So with that, my friends, as we close this discussion, these 46 days, 48 matches, may the best team win, and hopefully the trophy stays where it ought to in India. On that note, it's a wrap. If you like this entire discussion, go ahead and connect with me on my Telegram channel. It goes by the name of Bhuvan Study IQ. Thanks for watching. Wishing India all the very best for the Cricket World Cup. And if you enjoyed this discussion, leave me a like and a comment. Thanks for watching. Bye.